We are tracking breaking news out of Texas at this hour. 7 people are dead after a vehicle drove into a crowded bus stop not far from a migrant shelter near the border with Mexico. CBC's Katie Simpson joins us now with more on this. So, Katie, what do we know about exactly what happened at this point?
It was about 8:30 in the morning, Travis, when police were called to the scene. The driver of an SUV, a male, had allegedly driven into a crowded bus stop area where a number of people had been standing waiting for the bus. 7 people were killed. More people have been taken to hospital. They have been injured. As you mentioned, this bus stop is very close to a religious, I believe it's very close to a church that actually provides services to migrants. Brownsville is one of sort of the hot spots along the U.S.-Mexico border that has seen an influx of migrants ahead of a major policy change in the United States that comes later this week. It's the ending of what's called Title 42. It gave the Biden administration the power to send migrants out of the United States without necessarily giving them a hearing. It gave them more power to send people away under because of public health reasons as a way to stop the spread of COVID. Because that policy is coming to an end, a number of these border communities, including Brownsville, including El Paso, have seen a surge of migrants in recent days and are expected to continue to see this. We are still waiting to hear from authorities more specific confirmed details. We do not know 100% sure if the victims were migrants here. We are hearing that may be the case, but we're waiting for police to actually confirm more details. The driver in this case was arrested and is being held for reckless driving. We're waiting to find out if there will be more charges here and to find out if police have determined whether this was an intentional act. Again, first responders made it to the scene very quickly. Just after 8:30 this morning, 7 people were confirmed dead and a number more have been taken to hospital with injuries.
So certainly a lot of questions related to that incident, Katie, but this follows yesterday's deadly mass shooting outside of an outlet mall in a Dallas suburb. Let's get an update on that now. What's the latest there?
Yeah, this is a completely unrelated story. Another horrific incident in Texas, about half an hour or so north of Dallas, at a premium outlet mall. Police were expected to hold some sort of news conference today to provide an update. At this point, it does not look like that is going to happen. If that changes, of course, we will obviously have in-depth coverage of that. But what we know about that so far is that there are still 6 people in the hospital. 7 people were shot and killed in that incident in a very busy outlet mall north of Dallas. It was in the afternoon when a gunman entered the building and started opening fire. And there are scenes of chaos that unfolded. Everyone has a smartphone now, so we've got video of people running away from the scene. We're hearing terrifying stories of how people hid in the store, hiding hiding wherever they could at the sound of gunshots, seeing smoke inside the mall. Police are releasing very few details at this point, other than the latest information we have is that 6 patients remain in hospital at this time of the 7 that were wounded and taken to hospital. 1 has been released. 3 of those 6 victims who are injured are still in critical condition. So that is the sort of update on the victims at this point. We still don't have very much information about the shooter. What we know from witnesses is that it appears the shooter was wearing a tactical vest, had some sort of long gun, and was dressed head to toe in black. Police are not releasing any details confirmed about the suspect right now, and we're waiting to find out more information about a motive. That is something that Texas Governor Greg Abbott talked about when he went on Fox News earlier today, offering his support for the victims.
Obviously, this is just devastating. Texans are hurting today, and the people who are hurting the most, obviously, are the families of the victims, families who've lost a loved one, families who have a loved one who is injured. And our main priority right now is to help and support those families and the Allen community.
One thing that happens in the United States when there is a mass shooting like this, we see this immediate political debate. You see politicians and anti-gun violence advocates demanding change, calling on lawmakers to bring about common sense gun reform to prevent this issue from continuing in the United States. That shooting specifically marked the 199th mass shooting in America, mass shooting being defined as a shooting where 4 or more people are injured. And that's according to the Gun Violence Archive. It's a nonprofit organization that tracks these kinds of things. There's no sort of government sort of tracking mechanism when it comes to mass shootings in America. That's a whole other issue, Travis, we can talk about on another day. But in this country, when there is a mass shooting, it sparks this very predictable, very heated political debate. We see calls for change, for reform, so that people who cause violence can't get access to guns. And then we see calls on the other side of this saying that there needs to be more support for mental health care. With a lot of, often we see one side of this debate arguing that this is a problem related to mental health. It's not about the guns, and not support for massive change when it comes to gun reform in America. That is happening right now in America. And very predictably, what happens after that is after there's the heated exchanges from both sides, we don't see any significant change that brings about meaningful results. And then it happens again and again and again.
And again, yeah, you know, Katie, when I was reading that number earlier this afternoon, 199 mass shootings this year so far in the United States, I had to read the number again to make sure it was accurate. Yeah, it is an incredible statistic. Katie, thank you for tracking both of these stories for us this afternoon. That's the CBC's Katie Simpson in our Washington bureau.